A black male shot by the police following a traffic violation. This was a fatal shooting. It's difficult to watch. Here it is.
You have a driver's license with you?
What's the issue?
Well, you didn't use your signal back there, and I see why now. Is you have a light out on that left side completely. No big deal. Ain't nothing I'm going to write the ticket on, but you're going to have to fix it, though. You got any weapons or anything on you?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Just for my protection, I'm going to pat you down real quick. You can turn around. Turn around.
Turn around.
Now turn around. I want to pat you down.
I can take it stuff.
No. I want to pat you down. If you got no guns, is all I'm worried about.
No, I'm just not comfortable with people touching me.
Well, I hate it for you, but
Yeah,
my safety is paramount, okay? Be still. Put your hands behind your back.
No, bro.
Put your hands behind your back.
No. I'm
fighting one. Fighting
I'm
one.
not.
Put your hands behind your back. I'm finna tase you.
I'm not.
I'm about to tase you.
I'm not.
Listen to me.
I'm not.
You're finna get tased.
I'm not. Not.
God damn it. Put it down. I'm finna get...
Then you hear the gunshots. I'm going to explain what happened. Put up the picture full of mass. Mr. Otis French, fatally shot by Officer Brandon Thompson. The body-worn video from the officer-involved fatal shooting of the 32-year-old Mr. Otis French Jr. was made public on Friday. Mr. French was shot 5 times by Officer Brandon Thompson. This shooting took place on August 22nd, 2022. Once again, we're just getting the video. The Baldwin County Sheriff's Office refused to release the body cam footage because Alabama law does not require body camera video to be released to the public. But this one somehow made it to YouTube. An attorney representing the city released the following statement, quote, on Friday evening, the city became aware of a leak of the body camera footage involving Bay Minette officer Otis French Jr. Prior to the leak, only appropriate law enforcement officials, court officials, and the French family, as well as their attorneys, had access to it. This was done in acknowledgement of the sensitive nature of the video and to protect the investigation and related court proceedings. There's more. The statement continues, quote, it was also done to protect the officer involved from further threats to him and his family. The city sought to keep the video sealed with the U.S. District Court. That motion was heard by the court and it is still pending. While it is unfortunate that the video was released by an anonymous source, the city will continue to respect the process and proceedings in the federal court, and we will continue to defend the claims made against the city in the lawsuit. The city has no further comment on this issue at this time. And so the conservative legislature of Alabama some years ago, they passed a law that did not require the release of body cam footage, which is ironic because it is, in fact, contextualized as part of a public office. You have the right to that. Freedom of information, open records request. So they carved out a special rule just for law enforcement. And so when it's leaked, likely by one of their own, by the way, but when it's leaked, they decide to defend the position rather than talk about what we have seen. There's more. The officer activated his body cam when he pulled over Mr. French for failing to signal. The traffic stop seemed to be going smoothly. And the officer told French he would give him a warning for a light out. The officer told him to turn on his hazard lights and step out of the vehicle to look at the light after the officer said he saw a bulge in French's shorts. He attempted to pat him down for weapons. French told him he wasn't comfortable with people touching him. The officer told French to put his hands behind his back, produced handcuffs at that time, but French refused. The officer threatened to tase Mr. French, and that's when French struggled with the officer, shoving him to the ground. French fled to the back of a house, then ran back to the front. That's when the officer immediately tased him. According to the Baldwin County Major Crimes Unit, several seconds of the video are missing due to a body camera malfunction. Okay? However, it does show the shooting and graphic video of French's last moments. French went to the ground after he was tased, but then took the taser from the officer and tased him once. The officer began firing shots with French still on the ground. As French struggled to stand up, he continued to point the taser at the officer. He went down into a bush and appeared to lose consciousness with the taser still pointed at the officer. After the shooting, other officers arrived to the scene, and the officer involved told them, quote, "Let's get him some help." He attempted life-saving measures, but was unsuccessful. The officer was put in the back of a patrol car where he's heard on camera praying for French's family and asking God to forgive him for his sins. Officer Brandon Thompson was cleared of any criminal charges, but a federal lawsuit is still pending. A 10-count civil lawsuit has been filed in federal court on behalf of the French family that includes claims of an illegal traffic stop, excessive force, and wrongful death. A motion to dismiss the lawsuit has not yet been ruled on. All right, let's back up, because I know some people are going to say, well, he had a taser. Let's talk about the taser. Number one, how many times did you hear that taser deployed by the officer? He likely had no more taser cartridges. I don't think those were cartridges or active rounds left inside of that taser. This is probably why they said nothing about the ability or the capacity of Mr. French to enact any type of physical damage against the officer, because the cartridges had been suspended by the first cop. So the cop suspends the cartridges. Nothing left, okay? Speculating at this point. There's also a distance ratio. How close was the officer? Number three, a taser is considered to be a non-lethal weapon. That's right. It's so non-lethal that in order for an officer to be taser certified, they have to be tasered themselves. That's how non-lethal it is considered. Multiple courts, including federal courts, they have upheld that tasers are considered to be non-lethal devices. So which one is it? Did he have a life-threatening device or did he not? Was the officer in fear for his life or mad? All right. Yasmin, these questions will have to be answered at some point by the federal court or a judge in the near future. What say you?
Yeah, I don't care how innocent or guilty this man was of whatever crime. His taillights were out. He wasn't signaling. Americans have the right to due process. We have the right to a jury. We have the right to legal representation. We have a right to not be shot and killed over a traffic violation. But whenever or wherever there's anarchy or tyranny in a country, it's not the government that is executing it. You can blame the people at the top all you want for maybe fostering some kind of culture or political atmosphere, but it's the boots on the ground that are actually executing these atrocities against the public. If you look through history, even recent history, going back to just the early 1900s, around World War I and II, those boots aren't just military boots or special forces boots. It's local police forces that turn on the public. It's the cops who purport to serve and protect their communities who are committing these atrocities against those communities. They're the ones who are just following orders or who are responding erratically because they fear for their own lives or their own livelihoods, and they think that that fear justifies their behavior and, the murder of innocent victims. And the more we protect these types of institutions and bad actors, and the more we ignore discrimination and other bad practices in law enforcement, the more we will inevitably devolve into a tyrannical society. When people are afraid of cops, you're already not in a good position. And we are far, far beyond that. People are either afraid of cops or they don't respect the cops or both. Few people have favorable opinions of cops, it seems. I'm speaking anecdotally and generally, of course. But for those who do, it's almost an oppositional position that they hold now. Supporting the cops has become aligned, at least in this country, with supporting or excusing racism, supporting tyranny, not supporting social justice movements, excusing corruption where it is blatant to see, and supporting the use and threat of violence to detain individuals who more often than not are simply exercising their right to free speech. We've seen it time and time again in this country. These stories are getting very, very old. I feel like I'm running out of things to say about it, but I want to get across is that the state of policing in this country is broken, but it's benefiting somebody and it's not us.